Song number 96. After this, we'll have the opening prayer. If you're able, please be upstanding. You are beautiful
beyond description, too marvelous for words, too wonderful for comprehension, like nothing ever seen or heard. Who can grasp your infinite wisdom? Who can fathom the depths of your love? You are beautiful beyond description, majesty enthroned above. And I stand
in awe of you. I stand in awe of you. Holy God, to whom our praises due, I stand in awe of you. You are beautiful beyond description, too marvelous for words, too wonderful for comprehension, like nothing ever seen or heard. Who can grasp your infinite wisdom? Who can fathom the depth of your love? You are beautiful beyond description, majesty enthroned above. And I stand in awe of you. I stand in awe of you. Holy God, to whom all praises due, I stand in awe of you.
Let's pray together. God our Father, we thank you so much that we're able to come here today to worship you. We ask that you be with our number tonight, and we pray that we can receive a blessing from being here, and that we can be helpful to other people as we go through our daily life. Help us to reach out, Father, and be bold as we do it. We're thankful that Jesus came and gave his life in order that we might have eternal life with you someday. Help us never to forget that, Father, but always to carry it with us. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated.
Is there anyone here that needs to take the Lord's Supper? I stand in song number 514, song number 514. Redeemed how I love to proclaim it, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, redeemed through his infinite mercy, his Son forever I am. Redeemed, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, redeemed, his Son forever I am. Redeemed and so happy in Jesus, no language my rapture can tell. I know at the light of his presence, bring me up continually dwell. Redeemed, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Redeemed, His son forever I am. I know I shall see in His beauty the King in whose law I delight. Who lovingly guardeth my footsteps and giveth me songs in the night. Redeemed, 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 redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Redeemed, redeemed, redeemed. His son forever I am. Redeemed, 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 redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Redeemed, redeemed, redeemed. His son forever I am. For the Lord's Supper, let's number 383. 383. Jesus, keep me near the cross, where a precious fountain brings the raw healing stream, flows from Calvary's mountain. In the cross, be my glory ever, till my raptured soul shall find rest beyond the river. In the cross, the trembling soul of and mercy found me. There the bright and morning star sheds its beams around me. In the cross, be my glory ever, till my raptured soul shall find rest beyond the river. Near the cross, O Lamb of God, bring its sin before me. Help me walk from day to day with its shadow o'er me. In the cross, be my glory ever, till my raptured soul shall find rest beyond the river. Turn in your Bibles, please, to 1 Corinthians chapter 11. I guess you would say 1 Corinthians 11 is the go-to passage for preparing our minds for the Lord's table. And sometimes that can be a problem, because then when we come to it, it's 1 Corinthians 11 again. So maybe we take it for granted. But I think it's the go-to passage for a reason. He says, let's just begin in verse 23. For I received from the Lord what I also delivered to you, that the Lord Jesus, in the night when he was betrayed, took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, "This is my body, which is for you. Do this in remembrance of me."
In the same way also, he took the cup after supper, saying, "This cup excuse me, is the new covenant in my blood. Do this as often as you drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink the cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until he comes." You proclaim the Lord's death. When we partook of this morning, when those who are here partaking of it tonight take that unleavened bread and that small sip of grape juice, they are saying, "This is my Lord who died for me. He died for me." And we're not just sitting in here saying it, we are proclaiming, this is what's important to me. This is who I belong to. This is what was sacrificed for me. This is who was sacrificed for me. I'm going to shout it from the rooftops. I'm going to stand by it proudly. You can try and quiet me down if you want, but this is the truth and this is what matters. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. It's probably the quietest time of our worship. Maybe if the brother speaks too long, we may fall asleep. Or we may think about something else. I heard a quote from a famous old preacher just recently, a preacher called George Whitby. And I won't get the quote exactly right, but as he was preaching, he noticed that some were on their phones. Or some were falling asleep. I'm just kidding, they weren't on their phones, but some were on their phones tonight. But it was two people on phones, right? But some were falling asleep. He didn't bang on the pulpit like that, but he took his foot and he stamped it down on the ground and he woke some of them up. And he said to them, "I meant that. Because if I was just," this is George Whitby speaking, "if I was just here with my own message, if I was just here saying my own thing, then you could come here and you could fall asleep every now and again and open up one eye and ask yourself, what's this babbler going on about? And that would be okay." But he says, "I'm not here with my own message, I'm here with the message of Christ. I'm here with the words of God." And so we come to Sunday night worship. Attendance about 50% of what it is in the morning, because it's just Sunday night. If you're accustomed to wearing a tie on Sunday morning, maybe you'll get away with a shirt on Sunday night. If you just wear a shirt, maybe you can wear shorts on a Sunday night. If you wear an open shirt on Sunday morning, you can wear shorts on a Sunday night. It's just Sunday night, it's not important, it's not as important. Sunday night worship. Proclaiming the Lord's death. Anyone want to stand and face him on the day? Say, it's just Sunday night. So we're all here Sunday night. This isn't any less important. Sometimes the brother responsible for preparing minds for the Lord's Supper make it up and say, it's just Sunday night, we'll just read the scripture and pray. We need to prepare the minds as much on a Sunday night. It's not as important. We forget why we're here. Paulo often asks the question, why are you here? Every now and again, Paulo will introduce one of his thoughts. Why are you here? We know the answers. We have to worship God. Here is first day of the week, and that's what's commanded. We're here because we love God. All the answers that we know that are the right answers. Brethren, if we're all here because we love God, how come attendance is 50%? If we're all here this morning because we love God, where are we? If everyone's here because they love God, when Paulo asked that question, how come there are so many that leave the church because their friend fell out with them. Well, no, I thought you were here because you love God. If we're all here because we love God, how come there are so many that maybe are not here? The carpet fitter was coming on Sunday morning. The carpet fitter, proclaiming the death of the Lord. Or the washing machine was getting delivered. Or I was tired. Thank God Jesus never said he was tired when he went to the cross. Proclaiming the Lord's death. It's not meant to make you feel guilty, it's just meant to make you think about what we're doing. We're here because we love God. All of that other stuff matters. You need a washing machine, you need your carpet fitted, and you don't want your friend to fall out with you. But it doesn't matter what we're doing. It doesn't matter as much as what we're doing. A couple of people this evening were taking this Lord's Supper. We sit with them and we again proclaim the Lord's death. The death of the Son of God. Nothing is as important. You cannot sleep through it. You cannot be texting through it. You cannot skip it for any reason. Save you just cannot get out of your house. This is what we do. And this is how important it is. Let's give it that respect and attention. Let's pray. Father, help us to never ever take for granted the opportunities to be together, to worship you, and to remember you, to celebrate your life and death and resurrection, and as we spoke about this morning, your ascension. We are thankful that you are our King on your throne after the horrific but amazing sacrifice that you made for us. It was to clear our minds, clear our thoughts, clear our days, clear everything that we have that might take away from what you have done from us. And let's use what you have done for us to affect everything else that we have in our lives. We pray, Father, that you are not only number one in our lives, but that you are the only one in our lives. And we know that by this being true, we will be better fathers and mothers and husbands and wives and children and neighbours and friends and employees. Because you make us the best that we can be. In Jesus' name we pray. Show of hands, please. Father, this great juice is something so simple and yet stands for something so different. And then help us never just to become accustomed to our habits and traditions, even those traditions which are set out in Scripture to come together and remember you by the end of the Sunday feast. Because Father, never to take it. We still realize what's been given, what's been sacrificed, what's been shared. And help it to make such an impact on this Father that nothing will ever take away from the focus and attention that we give to your sacrifice for our lives. In Jesus' name. proclaiming the Lord's death. But it doesn't just stop here. It's not just for these few moments.
Before the sermon reading, followed by the sermon, let's stand and sing song number 539. Song number 539. I'm pressing on the upward way, near heights undimmed, every day, still praying as I onward bound, Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand, my faith on heaven's stable land. A higher way than I have found, Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. My heart has no desire to stay where doubts arise and fears dismay. Though some may dwell where these abound, my dream, my aim is higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand, my faith on heaven's stable land. A higher way than I have found, Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. I want to live above the world, though Satan's darts at me are hurled. Our faith has brought a joyful sound, a song of saints on higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand, my faith on heaven's stable land. A higher way than I have found, Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. I want to scale the utmost height and catch a gleam of glory bright, but still a praise you have not found. Lord, lead me up to higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand, by faith on heaven's stable land. A higher way than I have found, Lord, lead me on higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand, by faith on heaven's stable land. A higher way than I have found, Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. Good evening. If you have your Bibles, please turn to Luke chapter 22. That's real loud. Luke chapter 22. We'll be reading from verse 24 to 26. Now I'm going to just share a thought tonight that I think we can all relate to, and I'm hoping that we can learn from it. So, but first of all, let me ask you this question. Who wants to be the greatest? Put your hand up. Nobody. Adam, good. Edwin, Ivan. Who wants to be the greatest in whatever you do? You just want to be the greatest of everybody, right? So who wants to be the greatest? I'll put my hand up. I want to be the greatest. In my industry, I work in a hotel and chef, and I just want to be the greatest, okay? So if you are in the industry, you have like different stars, different levels. So our hotel right now, we have 3 rosettes, okay? 3 stars rosette, and after that would be 1st star Michelin.
And then just to get you a perspective, you know, like your Gordon Ramsay and your Jamie Oliver, they're all Michelin stars. So like they're up there. So we're 1 star away to get a Michelin star. So the Michelin people, the representative would, they would send a person in our hotel and they would check everything from breakfast to lunch to room service, and everything has to be on point. And everything in the fridge has to be labeled and, no out of date stuff. Everything has to be on point. And then when we got a star for that. So in whatever, industry that you're in, if you're a student, you want to be the greatest of that. And retail, you want to be the greatest employee. You want to be the greatest in gardening. You want to be the greatest nurse. In whatever it is, it's our desire. I think it's built in us to be the greatest, to do the best that we can. And NBA, Adam, what do you think is the greatest player of all time? I'm not going to say Larry Bird. Yes. Ivan, who do you think is the greatest of all time? I'm going to say Steph Curry, right? Yes. Dan, you have an NBA team?
Yeah.
Who do you think is the greatest player of all time, in your opinion? No? Not coming to mind? Now, I would say LeBron James. Now, see, different opinions, different personalities, different people. But those names that I've mentioned, they were one, or they are still one of the greatest who played the sport. No, we can argue, LeBron James is definitely better than Steph Curry or Larry Bird. We can argue that. But the point is, the bottom line, that they were, or they are still, some of them are still the greatest player who played the game. In boxing, who is the greatest of all time? Now, some would say Mike Tyson. Some would say, there you go, Muhammad Ali. Okay? And there's another guy, Holyfield. I can't remember the first name. Yeah, there you go. Okay? Now, again, we could argue who's the greatest of all time. But again, it boils down to they're all great in what they do. So in Luke chapter 22, if you're not already there, turn there. Luke 22. What do they say? 24 to 26. Yeah. Just going back to the Muhammad Ali one of this theme of who is the greatest. Now Muhammad Ali, before the match, there's always a televised thing where they weigh the boxers, and Muhammad Ali always used to taunt, to provoke his opponent by proclaiming, "I am the greatest of all time." Now, I don't know about you. If you're just watching it from the TV or from the bystands, that's nothing. But I guess if you're the one who's standing the opposite of him, you'd feel threatened. You'd feel fear. Okay, this guy's doing his business. This guy's being for real. And of course, he's got a reputation of beating his opponent up. So, and then it seems like Muhammad Ali knows that it's in every one of us, that the many of us here, if not all, desire to be the greatest of whatever that we do. And again, being the greatest among men in whatever industry throughout history, it's nothing new. It's not new. It's not a new desire that we want to have. It's not a new issue that it might come up. Again, throughout the Bible, throughout history, we got the example of Cain and Abel. We know the story very well. Some of us here, we know the story very well. That both brothers offered offering to God. One got accepted, one got rejected. We know the story. What happened? Because one got rejected, the brother killed a flesh and blood. What's the issue there? Because the brother who got his offering rejected, he thinks that the brother that the offering got accepted, and he's greater than him. So we see the greatness envy in that example. We have the example of Saul trying to kill who? David. Why? Because he thinks that David is going to be a greater king than him. So he pursued the guy to the deepest part. I think we're in a cave at some point, and David actually had the chance to kill Saul, but he didn't, out of respect from God, ultimately. But again, we see that the want or the desire to be the greatest, it's in us. We want that in whatever that we do in life. Even among the apostles, we see that in Luke 22. Even among the apostles of Jesus, there were constant debates about who was the greatest of the apostles. Let's read the passage now. Luke 22, 24 through 26. Verse 24, and I read, "Now there was also a dispute among them," talking about the apostles, "as to which of them should be considered the greatest." In our Thursday classes, we actually looked at in the upper room when they were sitting around the table, and then they were trying to decide who gets to sit next to Jesus. Who's going to be the worthy one who gets to sit next to the Lord? Who is the greatest? And then verse 25, "And he said to them," Jesus now, "the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and those who exercise authority over them are called benefactors. But not so among you. On the contrary, he who is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he who governs as he who serves. For who is greater, he who sits at the table or he who serves? It is not he who sits at the table, yet I am among you as the one who serves." What a powerful message for the apostles. Now, dispute. They weren't just arguing. They're probably shouting at each other. It's a dispute, all right? And very, very, cutthroat kind of lesson for the apostles here, because they were arguing. And remember the situation here. They were at the room, right? The same night that Jesus was about to what? To be betrayed, crucified. That's what they were thinking of. Who is the greatest? Who is worthy to sit next to the Lord? Now, according to this passage here, I'm just going to share two things. Let me look at my note actually. So each time they brought up this issue of who is the greatest, Jesus would remind them that greatness in the kingdom of God was a very different thing than the greatness of the world. Now, we've mentioned a lot of names that we consider the greatest of what they do. And, there are perks, that's the word yet, there are perks when it comes to, those things. When, for example, let's pick one of the names, LeBron James. He doesn't have to, go out there and market himself. No. Nike would come to him and try to sell themselves to him. And other endorsements would come to him. And he would just sit there and be paid. And other people serve him. And you see, that was the mind frame of the apostles when they were disputing of who is the greatest. They were thinking of worldly stuff. Because remember, they were thinking of what? A physical kingdom. That Jesus is an actual king after David, who's going to overthrow the Romans at this time. That's what their mindset. That's what's on their mind. You know what? I'm going to stand next to Jesus. I'm going to be his second guy. I'm going to be his captain. I'm going to be his commander when time comes. But no, every time this come up, Jesus reminded them. See, the greatness that you are looking for, that's not the greatness that I'm offering you. The greatness that I'm offering you is the greatness that is in the kingdom, not the world. And they had to follow, again, the kingdom's guideline, not the world's guideline for greatness, not the world's. All right? So in the kingdom or in the church, Jesus said that those who were great were those who, first of all, we see that in Luke 22, 24 to 26. Let's read that again, actually. So 24 to first part of 26. Pardon me. There was also a dispute among them as to which of them should be considered the greatest. And he who said to them, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and those who exercise authority over them are called benefactors. But not so among you. On the contrary, listen now, he who is greatest among you, let him be the younger, and he who governs as he who serves. So according to Christ, one of the guidelines for us to be the greatest, not the world's now, but the kingdom, is to become like children, the younger ones. Now, I don't know about you, but I like little children. I think they're just the cutest ever. And I was saying at worship this morning, and I was thinking, Chantel sitting next to me, and Rihanna was just on the floor, just doing their own business, and they're happy. You know, and I love seeing that on a Tuesday night club. You know, children just running around, and you might see Johnny shouting at one child. I'm just sitting in the corner laughing. So I'm just loving it. Not the fact that you're shouting at a kid. I'm loving that the kids are having fun. I like, because see, children, they are trusting. They are straightforward. They are innocent. And they are faithful. According to Jesus, or the guideline to the greatness of the kingdom, if you want to be great in the kingdom and not the world, become like children. And how they act, examine the Bible and see the ones who ultimately please God. Why are we here? There you go. There's the question, Adam. Why are we here? At the end of the line, the bottom line is we are here to please God. That's why we're here. Okay? And then when we please God, and we will find that we cultivate these qualities that we ought to have so that we can be great in the kingdom. We continue reading in verse 26, second part. Let him be as the younger, and he who governs as he who serves. Sorry, verse 27. For who is greater, he who sits at the table, or he who serves? It is not he who sits at the table, yet I am among you as the one who serves. So second thing that I want to share, one of the guidelines for us to be great in the kingdom is to be faithful servant. Now in the John passage, we see the washing of the disciples' feet. I know I've said this many times, and you're probably tired of me hearing from me. I just like that picture. I just like that picture of Jesus washing the disciples' feet. For me, that's just the perfect example of servanthood. And that's one of the guidelines for us to be great in the kingdom. In the kingdom. So I've mentioned that, if you are great in the world, how the world sees greatness. There are a lot of benefits, and again, there are a lot of perks. But see, if we want to be the greatest in the kingdom, it's the reverse. The greater you are, the more service you provide for other people. It's the other way around. If you want to be great in the world, just sit around and people come to you with all this stuff, left, right. But if you want to be great in the kingdom, we go to the people. We serve the people. Jesus didn't just sit there. Jesus went. Jesus went to Mary and Martha. Jesus went to, what's that little guy? Zacchaeus, his house. Jesus went. For example, the elders, we don't have elders in the church yet, but I think, Dan, your congregation have elders, right? So, for example, the elders, when the congregation appoint them to eldership, they receive honor, great honor from the congregation. And there's a lot of factors, from vetting the elders, from actual picking the elders and voting the elders. But when the elders is picked and is appointed, the elder receive great, tremendous honor from the congregation. But the bonus is they get for being elders is that they will be asked to sacrifice more of their time. They'll be asked to sacrifice more of their effort, more of their energy into serving others. And that's what it means to be great in the kingdom. And the proof of this principle is Jesus himself. None other. Jesus himself. He is the greatest. And proves it by giving up the most for other. Now, what am I saying here? I'm not saying to be great in this world is wrong. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, I'll encourage you to be the greatest as you can be in whatever industry. If you are still a student, be an A, straight A student. Whatever that you do, be the greatest that you can be. As long as it's in line with God's purpose. It's in line with God's will. That's how we going to be the greatest in the kingdom. Okay? You see, the example of Cain and Abel that I give, the example of Saul and David that I give, is greatness, envy. Now, if you don't know this about me, I'm a jealous person. I'm a very jealous person. Even if you know me that well, you're probably surprised hearing this from me, but I am. And sore things. But greatness, envy starts a lot of chaos and conflict. That's the word I'm looking for. Conflict in families, between friends and friendships. In fact, between nations these days. I am the greatest. You want to, want to conquer your nation, and bow down to me. That seems like the attitude these days. I am the greatest. Greatness envy stops when we recognize that Jesus is in fact the greatest. Jesus is the greatest of all. He is the true, in sports language, he is the true GOAT, greatest of all time. You see, and that position has been filled once and for all, and he was up on that cross. When he said, Father, it is finished. Christ became the greatest of all time. And all the things that I've mentioned, that will be all gone when we start accepting and when we start to realize that He is in fact the greatest, not us. It's not all about us. It's about Him and the Father. So, next time, when we are tempted to be the greatest, or when we are tempted to the greatness envy that I was talking about, let's ask ourselves if the greatness that we seek will make us great in God's eyes. And see if it's not. Don't be the greatest of whatever that is. Let's ask ourselves that. And whatever different walk in life, different ages here is great to see. And whatever we do, let's ask ourselves that. If that greatness we desire, and if that greatness that we seek is pleasing to God's eyes, then go for it. And see if it's not. I'm going to ask the question again. Who wants to be the greatest? Put your hand up. No one. How about this? Everyone put their hand up. There you go. Good. Right? Good answer. Keep your hand up if you want to be the greatest for the world. Good answer. Now put your hand up now if you want to be the greatest for the kingdom. We all do. We all do. We just went from the business meeting. And every Wednesday, if you're not familiar, every Wednesday we have this breaks night. And we were trying not every way, but we're just brainstorming and how we can, make this work. Because we have a ton of food. That food last week was a lot. So we have 3 cakes of savory and sweets and a full bag of sandwiches. It's going to waste. See, there's a need and there's a service that we can provide. Now, if Jesus was here, he would just be sitting in this room and brainstorming and talking about it. Don't get me wrong, that's good to brainstorm and stuff. But I can just imagine Jesus going out there. Jesus went looking for the need, looking for service. See, if you want to be the greatest in the world, that's fine and dandy. I just said dandy. That's fine. That is fine. But you can't take that to heaven. You can't take that. You can't take all your treasures in heaven. As Jack always says, just remember, treasures in heaven, Morty. Treasures in heaven. We want to be the greatest for the kingdom. We want to be the greatest for Christ. We want to be the greatest for God. And our Savior. That was.
Time with fellows sermon. Let's stand for 544. It's on the 544. Without him I could do nothing. Without him I surely fail. Without him I would be drifting like a ship without a sail. Jesus, oh Jesus, do you know him today? He can turn him away, oh Jesus, oh Jesus. Without you, how I would be. Without him I would be dying. Without him I'd be enslaved. Without him life would be hopeless. But with Jesus in God I'm saved. Jesus, oh Jesus, do you know him today? You can turn him away, oh Jesus, oh Jesus. Without him, how lost I would be. Jesus, oh Jesus, do you know him today? You can turn him away, oh Jesus, oh Jesus. Without him, how lost I would be. Before the closing prayer, let's stand and sing song number 530. Song number 538. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand, all other ground is sinking sand. When darkness veils his lovely face, I rest on his unchanging grace. In every high and stormy gale, my anchor holds within the veil. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand, all other ground is sinking sand. His oath is covered with his blood, support me in the whelming flood. When all around my soul gives way, then it's all my hope and stay. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand, all other ground is sinking sand. When he shall come with trumpets sound, oh, may I then in him be found, dressed in his righteousness alone, all blessed to stand before the throne. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand, all other ground is sinking sand. Let's pray. Lord and Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for allowing us to gather tonight to worship you. Father, we thank you for all the things that you've done for us. Thank you for the lesson that you've given to us through Paulo. Pray you can help us, Father, each of us to do what we can to serve each other, to wash each other's feet, no matter in any way that we can. Pray that you can help us to do what we can to build up the church, and to also love one another and to support one another when we're in need, Father, and when we're going through difficulties. Pray, Father, that as we depart to the week, that you guide and protect us. Pray you can give us the strength that we need to overcome whatever we face. We also pray that even while we are away, we will still be an encouragement to one another. Pray, Father, you can help us all as we strive to serve you. Pray in all things that your will be done. Pray for those, Father, who are struggling, who couldn't make it tonight, or who are going through difficulties of any kind, Father, or who have families or friends who are going through difficulties. Father, I pray that we ask your hand on them, and we ask that you can help them, Father, to overcome whatever they're going through and to show your grace to them. This will pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.